What's up, everybody? It's Noah Black here with the Writer's Block, and man, I am pumped for today's guest. He is a crazy, crazy talented artist he's taken the internet by storm. His songs accumulating almost 300,000 streams on Spotify. That's just Spotify. That's not even everything else. You've probably seen him singing your favorite emo songs from back in middle school and high school. It is Josh Canode, also known as Goneforgood, and single-handedly the reason why I want to bleach my hair is this guy right here. So
a little rough right now, but
but man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me, man. I'm excited to pick your brain on some stuff, and so I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, dude.
It's funny. Part of the reason I even agreed to this interview is your stuff was popping up on my Facebook. I was like, I know this guy. I was like, I've seen his stuff coming up on Facebook, and then you're like, hey, we should do something. I was like, yeah, I've seen this guy. Let's do it. Seen his videos. Yeah. He's got music. Let's do this. It's cool.
Yeah, that's dope, man. One of the things that I appreciate about the stuff that you do, and I know, like, I connected with you back in social media a long time ago, back whenever you were still in a band called Convictions. Yeah. But something I appreciate about what you do with your music is how well you blend rock, pop, and alternative and all sorts of stuff. It's just this big melting pot that I think you do such a great job mixing them with. And so because of that, I know that you're influenced by so much different types of music and stuff like that. And so just kind of backtrack, talk me through kind of what your journey has looked like, younger, being inspired by music, what that may have looked like, and then just kind of that whole process up to, kind of where you're at now with it.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. I just love every single type of music. So I've always been drawn to pretty much everything. So I just have always tried to blend it. I mean, when I was in Convictions, I would try to blend certain things with our music. But with Goneforgood, it's kind of just if I like a certain thing, I'm just gonna kind of do it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it is for me. I'll go from listening to pop to metal to rock to stuff I grew up on. I just love music on a really deep level. So combining genres and stuff is really exciting to me. That whole idea of doing that is really exciting. And it seems like nowadays most artists, I mean, I don't combine genres for popularity, but most popular artists nowadays seem like they're combining genres, which to me is really exciting to see that getting really popular. I remember there's this artist I really like called Ghostmane. And when I first heard Ghostmane, it was pretty crazy because he combined metal and trap and all these different genres and Marilyn Manson type stuff. And I thought that was super cool, super inspiring. And, you even got a lot of artists nowadays, you got Bad Omens blowing up. And I think it's awesome to see a band like that blowing up because to me, the music has a lot of integrity. There's a lot some of the songs on that record they put out are just pop songs, which I think is really cool because they'll do a pop song to a really heavy song. Right. I love music on a deep level. I love genre blending. I love it's natural for me too because it's just a natural thing for me to if I like something, I'm gonna kind of do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's important as an artist to do that because you can get really caught up. And I've played the game to where you are oh, what's popular right now? Maybe you should make that because everyone's trying to make music for a living. But even in the wise words of Rick Rubin, he says that's trying to make music for other people is kind of a really bad way to play the game of music because it's very disingenuous. So the genuineness in me is always going to have different types of genres. And I have stuff I'm working on now too, which is, doing more of that.
Like you said, I think the mixture of different genres, I think whenever you see an artist doing it well, it's bringing out the best in that artist. But then it also, you see how it influences other people too. You see people just, really doing it well. And I think, there's, just looking at your social media and then you're very open about, the different stuff. You've got different playlists and stuff that you have of just music that inspires you. And I think a lot of those, whenever you look at some of those artists, it's the same thing of they've experimented and they've done stuff that until it works. And so, I mean, I think it definitely bleeds into what you're doing as well. And so it's cool. It's cool to see a lot of that. And to your point too, that you mentioned about you're dedicated, like you love learning more about music. I can see that just from an outside perspective, even to the degree of where your name came from and stuff like that being inspired by, an artist. And break that down too, just for anybody that doesn't know. I know you posted on social just a while back during a Q&A of kind of even where the name Goneforgood came from, and that coming from, a lyric from a band. So just kind of breaking that down.
Yeah, I got that idea from, I was like, so I had started kind of like going a little viral on TikTok, like, and stuff like that. And that was really cool to like, have something get some traction, because I had started to learn how to sing, and I wanted to, that's the kind of stuff I grew up on. So I was singing it naturally. So I was posting stuff like that, and TikTok is doing pretty well. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I was like, I'm going to do more of this because people like it and I like it. So this is sick. Benefits everyone. And I had kind of been like, oh, I think I'm going to start like my own project. Like, I'm really going to do like some like a modern day emo rock, kind of blending in new things, like talked about. So I was like, I need a name though, and I'll tell you, I hate names like bands and stuff like that, because it's like, that's like, if you're gonna do it for a long, like, I'm like, I'll probably do Goneforgood until I'm dead, because it's just me. So it's like, I'll probably always have this. I'm like, this is like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I better think of a name. I'm like, I could do like my name. Like, I don't know. Josh is like, that's like kind of, I don't know if I want name on like shirts or merchandise. I think that's weird. I don't like to put my face on things. Even though I film myself, I honestly don't like getting in front of the camera. It's just necessary. But, so I had been listening to like some old emo songs, and there's that Car Underwater song, Armor for Sleep, and they have one of the first lyrics. It's believe the note, I'm gone for good, and blah blah blah. It keeps going, and I kind of thought, I was like, oh, that's obviously it's a kind of an expression. People said gone, yeah, I'm gone for good, blah blah blah. And I was like, I wonder if there's a band called Goneforgood. And I started like searching it, and I didn't find anything. Now, if there's something out there I didn't find, then but like, I was like searching for it. I'm like, surely there's an artist out there that's used this, because it's like a lot of artists will use common expressions as their names, because it's kind of a catchy thing to do too. It's also, I think, smart, kind of like, because the name to me is the name of an artist is kind of like to establish kind of a vibe. Needs to look cool. Because if it's like, I'm like big into like fashion and stuff, so I'm like, what's gonna look cool like on a shirt or something,
right?
Like, so I was like, to me, a name should establish a vibe, look good on merch, and be easy to remember. That's just how I approach that, because I was in Convictions, and one of the cool things about Convictions, we always said, it's like, we had a cool name, like, and it always looked cool on merch, and it had meaning and stuff. But like, that I loved our merchandise. Always looked sick because we had a cool name. But yeah, so I ended up looking, and I was like, no one's used this expression before as a name. Like, there was like iterations of it, but I was like, I think this will be it. I remember talking about one day, I was like, I'm gonna do my project. I think we'll call it Goneforgood, and I just kind of ran with it, and it's kind of stuck pretty nice. Like, it's even funny, like, hearing you introduce me as Goneforgood, because it's rarely happened, because I haven't done like a lot of like interviews or anything like that. But yeah, that was kind of how the name came. Yeah. Sorry if I rambled a little bit. I get off.
No.
So
no, you're good, man. That's what I'm here for. And I mean, it's interesting to hear. I like how practical you are with that too, of that kind of that explanation, because a lot of times people, I think, can overthink that process of, I want my name to be this or do that, or not even just that, but even in a musical aspect, they can overthink stuff. And just even that practical side of it, of, is it going to be brandable? Is it going to, make sense for what the music is going to, be conveying and stuff? So you touched on, that the jumping on, through TikTok, and then also, I mean, using the other platforms and stuff like that too. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine who he was talking about the beginning of like when TikTok was becoming a thing, and people were saying you should download it and do stuff. And he just thought of it as this us where people get on and do stupid dances and it's really cringy and stuff like that. And then he's like, one day it's just like, okay, let me just try something. And then he put their band single, just like a visual of it. And then it like jumped up there. And then people started redirecting to their Spotify and it just becoming this whole new thing. And so
Yeah.
for you, kind of how has that approach been for you? And then also, I mean, looking at your TikTok and the people that kind of jump on and stuff like that, how have you found that to be impactful for you, just like kicking this thing off?
So I have a friend, my friend John. He does my music videos. John Fleshman, shout out, John F Media. Uh, he does like all my music videos and stuff. One of my best friends, we were in a Convictions actually together. He played bass and sang, and yeah, he went off to shot music videos. But one day, I was just talking to him back when I was in Convictions. And I was like, we were just talking. I was trying to, I'm big into marketing. That's something else I guess I should mention. Honestly, I probably at an artist's detriment because it kind of like messes with me sometimes to be really into marketing, but also really into like the art of music because I always reference the marketing side of music as there's this guy with a notepad behind you that like while you're writing, he's like, okay, but how are we going to sell that? You kind of have to like get him out of there because he can kind of mess everything up.
Yeah.
But really big into marketing because I did all the marketing for Convictions really. And I talking to John and he was telling me he was going viral on TikTok. And I was like, TikTok? I was like, this is back when it was like like COVID. This is like before COVID. A little, and he was telling me he was going viral on TikTok. And I was like, that's crazy. And I had thought about it for a while. And then COVID hit and, he's like, dude, I posted a video, a simple video, and I got like almost 1 million views. And this is back when like people don't remember like the times before TikTok. As an artist, it was extremely complicated to promote your music.
Mhm.
You had to do stupid things like Facebook ads, like, and you were trying to get on Spotify playlists, and it's just a mess. Like, you're paying for these. Nobody likes Facebook ads, and just I had ended up posting some stuff for Convictions on there, and I had started getting us going viral on there. Just experimenting, trying to figure out what the algorithm likes and stuff like that. And so, then I started kind of, that passed, and I started learning how to sing. I actually didn't know how to sing until COVID. I grabbed a microphone. I bought a microphone and told myself because I didn't know how long I wasn't going to be on tour because Convictions toured full time. So I was like, well, I want to do something with this time I'm going to be home. So I bought like a nice computer. I bought a microphone, bought like a good interface, and I wanted to learn music production and how to sing. It's kind of like just for myself, just because I was like, I want to sing just in case, like it was kind of birthed out of paranoia because I was like, okay, if I can never tour again and I have to be locked in my house for the rest of my life, at least I can make music. That was kind of like the mentality. I was like, if I can learn how to sing and produce, then I can do music on my computer and be happy forever because that's happiness. So I started practicing singing, posted a video on Facebook of me doing it. People really were encouraging. I was like, cool. So then I started posting on TikTok, and it just kind of started to go viral, and the covers of me doing the emo stuff started really going. And I was like, that's cool. This is really cool. It started to feel like I found kind of a community of people that were similar, like-minded as me, because I love that kind of stuff growing up. And so then, TikTok was really successful for me. I was going viral, and unfortunately, I didn't have any original music out. I think I was a lot of it was I was still in Convictions, so that was taking up a lot of my time. And I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do musically by myself as my own thing. And then, yeah, I put out my song Hurt. I recorded that with my friend Lee. He helped me kind of finalize it, and I loved it. And we put it out, did a music video for it and stuff. It did okay on TikTok, but I'll tell you, lately Instagram's been really awesome for me. Instagram's been treating me really well. YouTube, I would say TikTok's kind of doesn't really like me that much anymore. Maybe it's 'cause I'm not I don't play the posting every single day 3 times a day game anymore. just because I think it's kind of exhausting. I'd rather post like I'd actually taken a break from posting for a couple months. It's been a while actually. I've taken a break because I've been writing, figuring out what I want to do. And I've actually been learning music production really deeply. I've been taking some classes and stuff. And so I don't know, like, I love it. I'm grateful. But I think that a big thing about artists chasing virality, because that's like kind of a new thing. Like it's artists like we can go viral. Like it's a possibility. Before when I was like in 2016, it was really like a pipe dream, you know, like, so now that it's a possibility, I think you kind of just have to be yourself and naturally let things happen. Like obviously you can be smart, you can pay attention to like you can I think it is a good idea to learn algorithms like and to understand how they work. I think that if you're really good at what you do, it's passionate. You have a lot of care in it. I honestly think nowadays it will go viral. I think that artists think too much about this stuff, myself included.
I think you have a lot of really good like insight into those things because with somebody with your longevity that like you said, you've been doing it for such a long time. I think because you've seen it in different spectrums, you see the good side of where technology has taken us, but also the unhealthy side. And so it's this sustainability, like what's going to last for you in the long run for you physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be. And so as a creator, doing what you're passionate about and what you love for the purpose of like what makes you happy in the process. And so you mentioned that with once you had once COVID had hit and it's the process of leaving convictions, that process of if I was to just sit in my room and create music, like that would make me happy. I think that's if that's where people come to the conclusion of, then like that's it. And I think that shows that dedication and that love for the craft itself. And so
I think that people overthink a lot of this stuff. That's kind of honestly just nowadays it's easier to like get attention like for your stuff now than ever. I don't know. I've experienced like in my musical career, I've tried to force a lot of things like over the years, like force things in front of people, force music. And honestly, when I stopped forcing, which, like doing my own thing by myself, there's been pretty much no force. I haven't forced things and I've just let things naturally happen. And it's grown faster than anything I've ever done. So like, I think if you're passionate, you're doing things for the right reason and you're not forcefully doing things. Cause I think that like, it's almost like a law, like a scientific law or something. I don't know. Like when you push things, it's like they push back and it's like, it's harder to make things happen. Cause I've been, like, no shade to any, like my past projects, but we tried really, really hard to do a lot of things. And it seemed like the harder you try, like with force and like power and pure brute force, the harder you try, the less things happen. And it wasn't until when I started Goneforgood, I stopped forcing, let things naturally happen, and they just started just happening. With this whole mentality of like the harder you work, the more you'll get, and sometimes that's just not the case. Sometimes it's actually the opposite.
I wanted to dissect some of your the process, the like actually you sitting down going into creating a song, because for so many people it's different, and I'm sure for a lot of people it's not necessarily a strategic. I sit down with a guitar and I do this, and then this happens. It's not the same cut and dry thing. But for you, whenever you do go to sit down in writing a song, like whenever you think back to whether it's Hurt or Outcast or whatever, what's kind of the steps that you take whenever you look at beginning the process of writing a song?
It's always different. I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Like sometimes I would say most of the time it usually starts with like this guy. Usually starts with this guy. I just grab this guy and I start.
We've seen that one in the music videos.
Yeah, that's my car. But it usually just starts with me just like playing some chords and feeling something, and then I just kind of like chase it. And a lot of the times nowadays, so when I was in playing like a lot of metal, you know, you tend to overcomplicate songs a lot. And to me, nowadays I just like a really simple song. Like if it's got like 3 chords the whole time, let's go. Like that's sick. Like just it actually, to me, less can give you more opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
Like people think like, oh, like it's the same 3 chords in the verse, and then in the chorus it's like, well, yeah, just add things on top of it. Like I come from like a world like of like growing up, some of my favorite artists were like post rock artists. I love a lot of post rock music, and for people that don't know, usually post rock music, it can be like a 6 minute long instrumental song of just like sometimes two ambient chords, and all it is people just add layers on top of it to build. And to me, that's kind of like what simple music can be. It can be 3 chords, and then you just, I don't know, like it can be as simple as adding some keyboards on top of the chorus, and then it is different. Hurt is 3 chords the whole time, I think. I don't even think that the verses or the bridge change the progression at all. I think it's just the same thing the whole time. It's just the progression will evolve because it like the verse is picked and then the chorus is strummed. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes it's palm muted, but it's the same 3 chords. It can literally be that simple. I mean, like the most iconic songs of all time, I feel like are just like that. It's like we get too in our heads as musicians. We're like, the better we get at our instrument, the better we're going to get at songwriting. And sometimes no. The better you get at your instrument, the worse you're going to be at songwriting. Because simple is good. Simple is good. And anyone can do simple. And that's the cool thing about music is simple is good. And sometimes simple can be the best. 3 chords. That's all you need. Just pick 3 chords out, write a song. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays, you don't even need to really know how to play an instrument. Like you can make cool stuff. Like, dude, there's like guitar VSTs. Like if you can play the computer, you can play any instrument. And it doesn't matter anymore. Like, because if it's cool, it's cool. If it's good, I honestly don't give a fuck who played it. Like,
right.
You know, like if it's good, like if the computer played that guitar, but it's bad, let's go. I don't care. And being into music production, honestly, I'm kind of like, I'm more about songwriting than like, oh, how is this recorded? Like, was that an organic instrument? I just don't think that stuff. To me, that stuff's cool. Like there are people that are really into that, but that stuff doesn't matter. Like to me, like just make a good song as quickly as possible. You can just like download recording programs, or you could just like take a guitar loop off a Splice and make a hit. Like people do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like a Juice WRLD song was just like a random guitar loop from Splice, and it was like a hit or something. But yeah.
But yeah, and I think a lot of that is the way that you've worded it with this and then other stuff too, of just not forcing it, like allowing it to happen. I found whenever I sit down to like write a song, whatever way it is, you know, sometimes it's you start playing a guitar and then you go off of that, or you think of a cool word that you're like, oh, I'd love for that to be the title of the song. And so then you try to, you know, expound on that idea. I found for me, if I start to get in the process of writing a song and I get stuck somewhere and I start to get frustrated, just pause. Like, don't worry about it. Like, don't get frustrated with it. Don't force it. Like you said, I mean, I think that's a great wording, and move on to the next thing and start writing something else.
Hours on an idea that will probably, you're just like, I hate it anyways. Why did I hours on this stupid loop? Like, I think like all musicians are a little like hyper obsessed with what we get worked on. It's like, I'm trying to actually not do that, because it's a problem I get, like where I'll get hyper focused on an idea that is actually a bad idea. So I'm like, well, next. That's actually like the key. Like every artist that I've talked to that pumps out constant music and is really, really successful at it, they always say that's the key. They're always like, you know, the key is you're working on it, you stop feeling it, move on.
Yep.
And I think like getting stuff done quickly is a cool exercise. It's not like the key, like getting stuff done quickly. Like songs can take a while, and that's okay. Um, but I think there's a balance. You got to know when to move on
Yeah.
because you can spend too much time on an idea when you're just like, dude, I should have just never
Yeah.
kept going on this,
Yeah.
because we all got limited time. So, you don't want to always like hyper obsess over a part. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just thinking about the most of the stuff that you put together is probably not going to see the light of day. And so don't get so caught up on it. I think about, I mean, a prime example of that, I was just watching an interview with Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, and they're about to celebrate the whole 20 years of Meteora, which is, I mean, my favorite album of all time. And he talked about when they released the newest single, The Lost, that came from that era, how much that, like, that one hurt for them to cut from the list. Like, they wanted that to be on the album, but because of different variables, it didn't end up making it. But he talked about, like, it was something crazy of like they had 40 or 50 songs that they were choosing between. And you got to think about, I mean, at some point they were probably sitting in the studio and were like, we got through this verse, but we can't get a chorus. And let's just skip it. Like, let's just move to the next thing just to keep a flow going. I mean, the idea you're going to have a lot more bad ideas than you are good. And that's okay, because it just, like you said, it makes you better. Like, it makes you a lot more skilled at what you do. And the things that do work out well, I think it adds a sense of pride to it too, because the general public doesn't see the bad stuff, but you definitely do. Like, you're thinking about the bad stuff, but it ends up making you more proud of what you actually do accomplish and that you do put out there that you end up finishing.
yeah, I think that like what you said, I think that you have to be willing to know when to move on, and also you have to have this like almost like false self-confidence to know when it's bad, when it's good. Like, you have to develop this like mentality, like I think that that's like crucial, like this like very decisive, like yes, no, no, yes. Because I know people who can do that very well. They can think about something for a second, but then they'll make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I'm actually working on because I want to be a more decisive person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like my musical choices, like learning to trust your instinct. Like, I'm feeling this, cool, let's keep going. The stuff you like there's a reason you like it,
Yeah.
and there'll be an audience for it. If it's good, like because like if you love music, you're doing music, if it's right. Like, I think there's a lot of like writing music you learn a lot about yourself when you write music, right? Like, you
Yeah.
really a lot about yourself. You learn about your bad habits. You learn about, because you learn about your hyper obsessing. You learn
Mm-hmm.
about, like, why am I thinking so much like this? Why am I thinking so much like this? Like,
The part of you, I think, as an artist, because you love and you've mentioned, you study music so much that you see how beautiful it can be. And so whenever you do sit down, I think sometimes it can be this thing of you get in your own head if you're not careful, of you do overthink this of, but this guitar tone doesn't sound as clear as what this song did that I really was inspired by, and all the technical side of stuff that comes with it. And then a lot of times it's that reminder too of, like, one, if you enjoy it, that's a big factor in it. But then two, the people that you do, to a degree, you do care about what other people do think about it in a healthy way. Like that, I think that's a very smart thing. And a lot of times they're not thinking about it the way that you're thinking about it. And so you don't have to sit and just overthink the whole process of it, because most of the time the people that it does connect with, they're not thinking about, did he use a tube amp from 86, or did he use this certain type of 808 because it would have been better with this 808. You know what I mean?
they don't. They just want to know if it gets stuck in their head and they vibe with it. Like,
Yep.
that's all people really care about. Like, and to me, that's like actually really relieving too, in a sense, because you're just like, oh, like at the end of the day, the song rips, like, and the
Yep.
production like halfway decent, like, cool, run it. Like,
Yeah.
don't think too much about it. Like, some records, since I've gotten like into music production, it's funny because I'll listen to records and I'll be like, oh, this is actually not that crazy what they're doing. Like older records, like I was like, I think that some of the best sounding records are like some of the older Paramore records. Like, I think Riot and Brand New Eyes are like some of my favorite productions. And I was like, listen, Riot, and I was like, that snare drum that everyone loves, that's that I think that's just a one shot. It's just a the whole the whole time. It's just and it sounds great. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get caught up on that stuff, and it's dangerous, man. It's dangerous. Like, and it
Yeah.
steals your time, and it can, like, 1 week can turn into 1 year, like can turn into 10 years, and you didn't even put something out because you were so hyper obsessed about something like that. So I think you got to be careful with that stuff. Like I said, when you get into music, you learn a lot about yourself. You know, you learn
Yeah.
about them. So yeah.
Talking about that, just to kind of, wrap some of this up for people that, the purpose of, why the Creative Corner Co, why we created a podcast like this is to give people that are either they're wanting to take their first step in music, or they're wanting to take just a next step to advance it and just to kind of make it better, work, finding some sort of motivation in it or anything like that. From your experience, I mean, you've already hit quite a bit of really, really good stuff. But for somebody like that, that's just looking to take that next step, what's some practical advice or even emotional advice or something along those lines that you would give based on, all your years of experience that you would give to that person that's just kind of like, hey, I want to do something with music. How do I do that? So,
well, I think that, so if we're talking about getting started, I think there's like a million resources nowadays, which are amazing. Like, I think it's, we live in an age where you can, if you have a computer, you can make something that sounds like it's on the radio, like it's pretty insane. I think that if you're an artist that's already doing their own thing, and I think there's nothing more powerful than yourself, like you being you. I think people are afraid to be themselves in music, whether it be with their singing voice, their writing style. I think you got a lot of artists, and I've fallen into this trap in the past, like in past projects, like where you lose sight of who you are, because the thing is, nobody wants another this artist, that artist. You got to be the first you. Like, that is the most powerful thing, because there's only one you. Like that's why I say music has a lot of self-discovery for me, because my goal as an artist is just to be myself.
right.
And like, if I can like make music and make a living and be myself, that to me is the most amazing thing in the world, because I'm just being myself. People get so caught up in their artists, their influences and stuff, and what's popular, they forget just to be themselves.
Right.
And even like these big, you got like, even like somebody like Rick Rubin talks a lot about that. Like, you think about these most iconic musicians of all time, they were themselves, like they were just unapologetically being authentic. And people that aren't authentic or copycat artists, they don't ever last. It never stays. It never stays. Like, the only ones that last are the ones who are just themselves. Like, there's only one of that artist, because they are unashamedly being themselves. And I think there's nothing more powerful than that. Like, you have your influences, you have the things that you love, use them. Don't be scared of the things that you love because somebody else told you, oh, that's not going to sell. Oh, that's not popular. Oh, that's dumb. Those ideas combined are stupid. Actually, they're wrong. They're real fucking wrong. Because to me, when I've started just to be myself, that's when I've actually seen the most success. So I know that's real. Like, I know that's real. So I think that's really powerful, because there's not a lot of people who tell you that. It's always about how to make it, how to do this. There's no formula. You know what the formula is? It's you being yourself and being smart along the way. Like, I just think that's something people don't talk about enough. The ones that figure that out, though, are the ones that get successful. Talk about like that band Bad Omens a little bit. I think that was something really cool. Was their singer talks a lot about how, because they're just exploding right now, and the record's great. But their singer talked a lot about how he started just naturally singing, being himself. And when I heard that interview, I was like, yep, I knew it. I was like, I've been telling people. He's like, I started being myself, and things just started coming out better. And I'm like, that's the key. That is the key, is to be yourself, because that's what people like just connect with. It's just honesty is what people connect with in music. And I don't know. I think that's a slept on thing. And, you know, I rant about it for a little bit, but I think it's really important. And, you know, I have friends who are artists who come to me and ask for advice. And it's funny because I don't even think I'm the best person for advice, because I'm not really like even that big on the grand scheme of things. I've just had a few successful moments in my life. But I could see somebody and be like, you have personality. You can do this. Like, I've met people at my day job who like have artistic ambition, and they're just like the most charismatic, unashamedly themselves. And I'm like, like, you can make it. You 100% can make it, dude, because you're just being yourself. Some people get discouraged because they're like, well, I've been myself, like, and it hasn't worked. And it's like, just keep going. Like, things will work out eventually. Like, maybe you just got to get better at music. I don't like, maybe you just got to write better songs. Keep being yourself. Like, don't be afraid to like self-analyze your art as well. But like, if you're good at music and you're being yourself, I feel like it'll work. That's how I think, because I've worked so many times. I just think that's the secret, is being yourself, being decent at your craft, you know, working and caring about it. You'll be successful. I think that's really all it takes. Like, because if you want something bad enough, you can get it. I really think that's true, because I think a lot of artists are like, people think they want it. They think they want a music career. They think they want to do this, but they don't. They want something else more. And I think that, like, if you really want it and that's like all you want, you're like, I want this music to work out so bad. And honestly, maybe it's not even a healthy mentality, whatever. Some people, but we have it. There are people out there that have it. And those people that have that mentality, who want it more than anything, they will make it. I don't think there's really another for people. When there's no other option, that's a powerful thing, because like they'll figure. And the thing is, if you're not good enough, right, and you're like on the mission to, I want to do this as a career. If you're not good enough, people will come into your life who can teach you. Like, there will be teachers. Like, it's important to notice that stuff. It's like, you're really bad at your instrument, but you want it so bad, but you keep working. There will be people that will come into your life that will teach you how. That's how it was for me. It was just natural. Like, these people came. I was really bad at guitar for like 3 years, like when I was growing up, and then one person came into my life and taught me how to be good. And in 2 months, I made insane progress I never had. You can't have too much pride to learn, but you know, if you want something bad enough and you really want it, it'll work. You just have to keep going. And there's like this expression. I have it actually taped on my computer over here. It's burning desire plus detachment from outcome will get you where you want to be.
Wow.
It's like, that is really the key. It's like, if you love something and you don't care, like, you're just going to keep doing it. I think it will work. You know, I don't even think I'm that good. And I don't think I will ever think I'm that good, because I think that's a dangerous road to go down, to ever be okay. Like, I think you have to look back and be like proud of yourself at moments, because then otherwise you're just being really mean to yourself.
Right.
You can be like, look how far I've come. That's awesome. All right, well, I want to get better though. Like, it's a joyous thing though. It shouldn't be like like, I suck. Like, I have moments where I'm like, I suck, but I usually let it be like a driving factor. It's like, I want to get better. I can get this. I can get this. I can do this. I can do it. Like, you have to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. I can do it. I can do it. But yeah.
Come on.
Things I think about every day. So like, these are like things you're like my whole like mental brain stew. Things I think about all the time, you know? So
yeah, I love it. We're gonna figure out how to get in contact to get you a TED Talk, because that's dope. I think there's so many unknowns that people just don't consider because they just don't know. And I think you mentioned, and you look at it as you've had a couple moments of success. It's not like you're this crazy successful artist, but because of your background and because of the experience you do have, I think that there's a lot that you have wisdom wise because of your experience that a lot of people just haven't experienced. And so I do think that, that can help so many people listening to this that are like, they could be caught in this mind game and not know where to go with it. And a lot of that you gave, there's things from that I take away from what you just said that brings a lot of freedom to like continue to get better, enjoy the journey. You're not ever going to arrive. You're not ever going to hit a destination. And so enjoy the process, because when you look at it, that's what creating music is you're going to look back on songs from 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're going to be like, my stuff now is so much better. But that milestone and those moments helped you to get to where you are in that moment. And so I think it's so good, man.
It is important to enjoy the when you said that, like, that's something that a lot of like philosophers talk about with success, is enjoying the journey, because the journey is just as valuable as the destination.
Yeah.
And we get so caught up, which I've done this a lot, where I'm like so focused on the grind to where it just becomes a grind, and that will destroy you. Like you work hard, but like there's like, if you love what you're doing, you'll be in a state of like flow to where you're just doing it and like you're just enjoying it. And a year will go by, but you've been enjoying the whole process and you've grown so much, you start making money. Like, I think when you're in a state of like, where you're just loving what you do, you're flowing, you're writing, you're doing your thing, you're not forcing things. I think that is like the ultimate state, especially in the music career, because music is such music is a weird thing, cause it's like, sometimes you write stuff and you're like, I don't know how that happened. You're like, I wrote that. Like, that's weird. That doesn't feel like me. And yeah, I don't know. The journey, it's important to enjoy the journey. I literally have a piece of paper. I have like a piece of paper right here. I always write things down when I'm doing I'm big into like philosophy and stuff. And one of the things I wrote down on this is value the journey as much as the destination,
Yeah. Look at that.
So yeah, and the journey is just as important. So
yeah, come on. Well, Josh, it's so good, man. And I appreciate all of your insight into that. And I think there's going to be people that I'm sure that jump in and that check this out, that there's going to be a lot of freedom for them. And so I commend you on that. And I want to honor you on that, but also just for me, like if that doesn't hit the ears of anybody else, that helps me out personally. And so I appreciate that a ton, man. So
things help a little bit. Sometimes I'm just like, am I crazy? I'm like, I'm in my room by myself. I'm like, I feel a little crazy, but I'm glad you get something out of it, because I feel like to me it makes sense. Sometimes I feel like I talk and I'm like, oh, I don't know if that made sense. Or it's probably like the ADHD autisticness, but
That's so good, man. But yeah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me and just let me pick your brain a little bit. And so for anybody out there that doesn't already know about you or isn't connected with you, how can they stay connected with you through socials and through all that kind of stuff, so that way they can keep up with what you got coming up?
Yeah, I would say that right now my Instagram is probably the best way. It's Goneforgood music. If you search Goneforgood as one word, it should pop up. Or Goneforgood music is like my handle. And on that, there's I have like a link in my bio, which has like my stuff, to my music and stuff. And, you can search Goneforgood on any platform and I should be there. So, and YouTube, stuff like that, they'll figure it out. If they they'll figure it out.
all the things. Yeah. I look forward to seeing you, as you're saying, just naturally, just letting it come, letting it happen. And man, I'm confident in you. And so know that not only as a fan of your work, I definitely believe in you and anything that, I or we can do to help support you at Creative Corner Co. I'd love to be able to do that.
It's sick. Keep doing your thing too, man. Just don't stop. You'll figure it out. Just keep going.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Thanks a ton. What's up, everybody? Just want to take the time to say thank you for checking out this episode of The Writer's Block. Whether you're watching through YouTube or listening through a podcast, man, it just means the world to us. And you can stay connected with us and all the other resources that we have at Creative Corner Co. by subscribing to the YouTube channel or subscribing to the podcast, as well as connecting with us through social media. And you can check out all the other resources and things that we have and connect to those social media links by going to www.creativecornercompany.com. We thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you again soon.